Hello, you're listening to Crossing the Desert. This podcast is a reality series about how I build my small business in the Emirates. You will hear my calls to friends, the sounds of Dubai streets, and most importantly, the stories of entrepreneurs who opened a business and settled here in the Emirates. I'm Isaac. I came to Dubai to put down my roots here. The stories of entrepreneurs who have already succeeded here will help me on my way. In each episode, I interview people from India, Egypt, Palestine, Caribbean islands, UK, and other countries. I don't know which ones yet because the story is just the beginning. The podcast is hosted by Fortis Digital Solutions, the POS and CRM in one easy-to-use solution specially designed for small businesses. It's my first weeks in Dubai and I have to say they know how to work. In any coffee shop, you'll find filter coffee, extra large coffee, extra strong coffee. Any coffee that will help you stay in good shape. And no coffee shop will forbid you to work with a laptop like it happened to me in Italy. I told that story in the previous episode. Yes, here is my vibe. The perfect place for a workaholic like myself. Dubai and I quickly became close. At least soon I called my friend to say that I seem to understand Dubai. If you put enough effort and if you respect the city, it kind of respects you back. It's a city of ambitious people. And as Simi said, everyone comes to Dubai to pitch something, which is an amazing and true fact. I remember a specific moment. Some of my friends came to Dubai. They were there for a couple of days. We decided to meet, so we met there. We had dinner, and then I took them to a place near Burj Khalifa, the fountains. And there is some green park right in front of Dubai Opera. It's like a place where you can sit. It's right at the fountains, and it's right, you look at the Burj Khalifa, right up in front. It's a very, very nice place, and it's actually quiet, which is very surprising. And I was sitting there, and I had such a nice and amazing feeling that I have a project. I made my first interview. It was pretty much successful, and now I look at this big, ambitious city with this big Burj Khalifa right in front of me, and I just feel that this dynamic environment, it's that place that feels somehow very, very, very right for now. I think I understand the idea of Dubai, now I get it. And I started to work very hard. And I met a lot of people who share this vibe. This is Rajesh. He will explain why he left the Maldivian beaches for Dubai.
Because already the market is saturated, I'm not going to do anything new there. What I'm going to do new? I am workaholic, the word, I can use it here. I want more work.
This is Maha talking about her work in filmmaking.
And when you're working on set, you can be filming at night and you're the last one that leaves because you're in the production team. So you can leave at 2 a.m. And then if you have a morning shoot, you have to be there before sun because you want to catch the sun from the beginning of the day. So this would be my full-on journey every day. I would be living on sets.
This is Asfia about your approach to career.
No matter how many rejections I will receive, no matter what people say, no matter how hard I have to work in Dubai, it doesn't really matter. I have to land into my dream job or my dream career or something of my own, whatever. But I will do it.
Their families are from different places, India, Egypt, Pakistan, but they have something in common, right? The same idea about hard work I heard from Denny. He's now a business owner. He runs his own brand of sauces, DK Hot Sause. But he started as a cruise manager for international cruise line. And there he learned how to work to impress even Dubai.
So on the ships, it's similar to Dubai, where you have a huge, diverse range of people from different countries, all away from home, their friends and family, working because it's better than home, or they're there to earn more money, to save and what have you. So, excuse the pun, everyone's in the same boat. So you have this camaraderie and you have this kind of connection, very similar to expats in Dubai. working on cruise ships, for me, has the highest level of service excellence anywhere in the world. I know there's lots of stores and venues here, hotels, that pride themselves on service excellence, but a few of them will come close to cruise ships, but for me, that was service excellence. And the operation is so demanding, you work 7 days a week for 6 months. You don't stop. You know, literally, one cruise is a week long. By the time you get back to port on the Sunday, the passengers are off. They're off by 10 a.m. The next lot of passengers are getting on at 1 p.m. Right? So it's just a machine. So you learn how to deliver exceptional service under stressful conditions, but also fine-tune operational excellence, as well as managing an international team, keeping people motivated, keeping people engaged, whilst hitting financial targets.
Denny continued his career as a retail manager and operation manager in London, and it wasn't any easier.
On the cruise ships, you're in a sunny environment. We're in the Caribbean, or we're in Mexico, we're in the States. So even though you're working 7 days a week, maybe some nights you're getting 3 hours sleep, 4 hours sleep, it was easier than doing 8 hours a day, 5 days a week in London. London's a great city, but for me it's just weather. When the sun shines in London, it's one of the best places in the world, but it doesn't shine very often. What else is there to do? You know, especially when it's cold, wet and windy, you know, it's pub. And it's not a healthy option after a while. So in the UK, we have something that's called the seasonal adjustment disorder. There's so many long periods of rain and grey skies. A lot of people get depressed, and it really gets me down. Really gets me down. And I say to a lot of people, we're delicate flowers, okay? Just like the plants, we need sunshine. You know, a lot of people, they'll work in offices. Now, especially in the UK, especially in the autumn and winter months, you wake up, it's dark. You go to work, you're sitting in an office with artificial light. You leave work, it's dark. You don't see any natural daylight. It's depressing. In London, it's not so easy. I wanted to leave London. I've got nothing to lose. You know, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? I don't like it, I go home. You're only 24 hours away from home wherever you are in the world. That's one thing my mum told me. My first time I went away on cruise ships, and we were at the airport, and I was sobbing like a baby because I was leaving everything behind. I didn't know what was facing me. And she said to me, just remember, doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're only 24 hours away from home. If you don't like it, jump on a plane, come home. No one's going to die.
And then Denny came to Dubai. He worked with cool brands like Jimmy Choo and Armani Group.
So then coming to Dubai, I'd obviously previously worked in Harrods as well, which in London is the epitome of luxury in terms of, you know, their clientele, their product offering, everything that they do is a fabulous school for luxury retail management, service excellence. There was the initial shock of working 6 days a week. Okay, so I had to get my head around that. So yeah, I've been used to previously working hard and playing hard, let's say, and making my time count, because it's very easy to kind of throw in the towel and just give up and just complain about things. But you're in this beautiful city, you know, for 6 to 8 months of the year. We've got beautiful weather, we've got beaches, beach clubs, we've got places to visit. Let's make the most of it. The challenge of the unknown is very daunting, especially if you're going to a new country to work. You don't know anyone, whether it's Dubai or whether it's London, you know, especially big cities. It could be the loneliest place in the world if you don't get out there, and if you don't, you know, if you're not fortunate enough to have a good network or a solid network. The first month I was living in a hotel by the airport, so I didn't know anything about this side of the city. It was just literally hotel to the head office, a hotel to the mall. That was it. So I didn't know Dubai at all.
Oh, I know how it happens. I mean, even a minor problem like how to change a SIM card can throw you off balance if you're new in a country. What can we say about the cultural, linguistic barrier, loneliness? I mean, immigration is a test, and on top of that, a new problem. He lost his job because of COVID, but you already know Denny a little. He's not inclined to sit around and complain, so look what happened next.
So yeah, during COVID, I was out of work, like many people. I do all the cooking at home. I love cooking. I'm part of a wider community on Facebook. So there's a group called What's for Dinner in Dubai on Facebook. 9,000 people, and just people like you and me that love cooking. And it's the friendliest community on social media. You know, you can post anything from a fried egg on toast to a barbecue to fine dining and McDonald's, whatever it may be. It's just people that love food. And everyone is very supportive. You know, there's no nastiness or backstabbing like you find with other groups. Anyway, so that was kind of a source of inspiration in terms of cooking. I'm out of work, I'm just cooking every day. My father's family are from the Caribbean. My mum did all the cooking at home. However, when I was probably about, I'm just trying to think now, maybe 14, I remember her teaching me my first dish. Okay.
Do you remember what was it?
Yes, I still cook it today. So we don't have a name for it. I call it prawn thingy, right? But it's a very simple dish. It's basically 4 tablespoons of rice. You saute it in olive oil with some garlic and diced red onion. You saute that for a few minutes. You then add a tin of tomatoes. You let that simmer through until the rice is cooked. You then add shrimps. I like to add jumbo shrimps. You let those cook through. You then add big chunks of feta cheese. And just before the cheese melts, so you want some chunks in it, but some of it to melt, lemon juice you squeeze all over, and you serve with garlic bread. Really simple, but
It's
really
not simple,
tasty.
let me tell you.
No, but it's like a 20-minute dish. It's so easy to cook, from start to finish. From literally light in the oven to plate. It's about 20-25 minutes, but it's really tasty. And it's like I say, the process is quite easy. Unless you're to leave the kitchen and leave it on the stove, you can't ruin it. You can't. You just can't. I still have that memories now. Now talking about it, I can picture myself in the kitchen at the time with my mum, eating it with the family, and obviously then cooking it with her.
For me, as a person who doesn't cook, unfortunately, I was raised, in a household where mostly women were responsible for cooking.
Yeah.
And I started to cook myself very badly, let me tell you that. Only recently, like a couple of years ago, and still it's not my favorite process, but I really ate of the idea of cooking when you take separate ingredients, you make them into one ecosystem, and then it's just something tasty, beautiful, nice, right?
Okay, so Denny said it's impossible to spoil the dish, but Denny has no idea that I'm a bad chef and I don't like to cook at all, so let's try. 4 spoons of rice. Should I wash it? Okay, I'll wash. Peel the garlic. Peel the onions. Mince it. I'm turning on the stove. Pour olive oil and stew garlic and onions. Add rice. Tomato can. Opened. Add tomatoes to the rice. Add spices. Stir, cover with a lid, and now I'm turning on the oven. Our prawn thingy goes there to finish. Final touch, open the oven. Add shrimps and feta and stew a little bit longer. I'll eat alone because my family is not here. It took me 1 hour and 40 minutes, but I guess it's totally worth it. So my compliments to the chef. To me.
I suppose I miss the family gatherings. I see family once a year. A lot of my family members are no longer with us, so those times are kind of gone.
Yeah.
But I do obviously remember them fondly and cherish those moments. Here, it's more about the friends you make here and spending when you can that quality time with them. I think for all expats, everyone that's in Dubai that doesn't have to work, we're all away from our family. And we're all away from home. So the friends that we choose here are, they're second family, aren't they? Aren't they? Yeah. They're family that we choose ourselves.
For Denny, cooking is about family, traditions, community, and amazing combinations of flavors. And soon he decided exactly what he wanted to do.
And I like spicy food. I like hot sauce. So I wanted to create my own hot sauce, and it was just for me. So I contacted my cousin in Trinidad. She sent me a recipe. I managed to find some Scotch bonnet peppers because they're predominantly used in the Caribbean, and it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. So I spent the next 6 months basically, researching different recipes, and then I was using my friends as guinea pigs.
How did your wife react, when you started to change your direction of work and when you started to prioritize sauces and everything?
She's been so supportive. The balcony doors open, the AC on full blast, that smell of chilies. She's had to endure pots and bottles all over the dining table cooling down before bottling, and boxes of empty bottles in various rooms and what have you, and paraphernalia. So she's had to endure all of this. And
was there a moment when she was annoyed or irritated, maybe by the smell, maybe by something?
Yeah, lots of time, and understandably so, times where she's maybe been out of the gym, or she's gone to meet someone for breakfast, and she's come back into the apartment, and I've been cooking for a couple of hours, and the apartment stinks, you need a gas mask, and it's not pleasant. It's not pleasant at all. But she's been super supportive, and she's had to, let's say, tolerate and endure a lot.
He took it to the kitchen.
This is Denny's wife, Maria, and she created the visual for the brand DK Hot Sause. I'm happy she joined us.
I actually was really affected by the spiciness of the peppers that he was using. And I remember that it was something poignant in my mind, and when my senses were affected. How could I not remember that? I do remember trying the first sauce, but I have to tell you that I did not try the original because that is the spiciest. Yes. So I know myself, I know what I can handle. So then he created the citrus banger, which is my favorite. And it has lime in it and lemon. And I really loved it because it was spicy, but it also had that tingly element in it, and a little bit sour, and it brought a flavor to my fish at that moment. I was it pairs very well with fish, and I really loved that combination.
I don't like that heat that brings you out in sweats, and you have the stomach cramps, and then you can't taste your food, and then for an hour afterwards your mouth is burning. There's no pleasure in that,
Yes, this is my issue with hot sauces and everything, I'm when you try something, you're how can you enjoy the food if it's just burning?
Exactly, yeah.
You don't have any taste at all.
Yeah, and I think there's this element of, let's say, bravado and ego with the individuals who just want that deep burn. They want something that's hotter than the sun, which is okay if that's your taste, then that's fair enough, but for me, that's not for me. So I wanted something for me that was really tasty, but had the heat.
The competition for who will eat the spicier food is childish compared to the role the spiciness plays in Arab culture. Let me tell you one story about Hajj Nasreddin. Once he was invited to a visit hosted by a wealthy merchant in the village. As the guests gathered around the table filled with many delicious dishes, Nasreddin couldn't resist the temptation to sample everything. However, amidst the foods, there was a small plate of fiery red peppers, known for their intense spiciness. Haja did not listen to the warnings from the other guests about the pepper's heat and confidently picked one up and took a large bite. And immediately his face turned red and he began to sweat and cry from the intense spiciness of the pepper. And everyone around him started laughing, but Haja Nasreddin was very witty, and he found the strength to say, "Ah, what a mighty pepper. It's so spicy that it makes me forget all my other troubles." And with this powerful spiciness, Denny cooks his sauces.
So I think the first 2 or 3 recipes I didn't give to anyone just because they either looked horrendous, they were like green or pink, or I don't even know how they managed to turn these strange colours, or the taste was just it was just so nasty that I wasn't going to put anyone through this. The first trial was at my local pub. So
Were you nervous?
well, I wasn't that nervous. I think I kind of got to a point where I was happy with it. But obviously then now I wanted feedback. So in the local pub we have our table, then they started ordering fries and they liked it, and this is good. And then after a while I was getting a bit of feedback. They wanted something hotter, they wanted it maybe less runny, whatever it may be. Okay. So then just back to the drawing board, but just to tweak now, just to tweak. So then I have my original recipe. This is what I'm happy with, you know. But then a few of them, they wanted something even hotter.
How?
Yeah.
How is it possible?
Well, the thing is, you know, I can add more chilies, but then as I discovered during the trials, is that the more that you add, then you lose flavour. So how far do I go with the heat, and what do I do to then balance the flavour out? So then I got to a point I was just like, right, okay, I can quadruple the amount of chilies. I have to do some tweaks with the other ingredients. Yeah. I'm happy with that now. Now, there's lots of people out there that will want it even hotter, okay? Now, because at the moment, I only use one type of chili, it's only so far you can go on the heat level. You would have to use a hotter chili. And also, I didn't want to make something so hot that you then only kind of limit yourself with the number of people that would be interested in it.
As well, like you need to always also think about the business behind it, right?
Yes, of course, yeah. So that's hot enough. If you want it hotter, just use more.
Yeah, that's it.
But one thing to make sauce in your kitchen and completely another to turn it into a business. And I wanted to know all the details behind it.
And wasn't it scary?
Yeah, I mean, very scary. I mean, obviously it was a side hustle at the time, and I thought the best way to progress with this is just do it in stages. Now, there'll be a lot of people out there, entrepreneurs who will start up. They have an idea, they have the funds, or they go seek investment, and then they go big and they go from the off. For me, it was more about, okay, let's just start with one step and see how it goes, okay? We'll get to a point, and if we get to the next stage, then we can then reevaluate and think, how do we get to stage 2? If we then we face an obstacle or a hurdle, then okay, we can then decide, how do we overcome this? Can we overcome this? If we can, how do we do this? And how much time is it going to take? I didn't want to jump straight in because there's that unknown. If it fails, then I've lost everything and I'm stuck with nothing.
It scares me most when you only start your business, you don't make profit yet, but you already have to pay full price for everything. Simi, entrepreneur from the previous episode, have warned me about it.
In Dubai, the only thing is you need to be very mindful of, once you open your wallet, you can really end up spending quite a bit without thinking, because you can have all the services available from around the world. But do not go into that. If you have an idea, test it out for small, and then you see the response, then you can go or full on invest. But before that, you do not go in using all your money.
So I asked Fortis how they help businesses at early stages.
Well, look, as a merchant, you're obviously very sensitive to prices, and you also want to streamline your operations, which means you want to keep things as simple as possible and as cheap as possible. And that's what Fortis gives you.
This is JP Serhal, marketing director from Fortis. You probably remember him from the first episode.
It's the ability to not only increase your sales with the POS software that is designed to work with your existing equipment. When it comes to the POS software, the main difference between Fortis and the rest of the competition is that Fortis has a POS software that works perfectly with the Smart POS. The Smart POS is typically considered a payment terminal, which is a small machine that you put your card on it and it pays. Having a software that works on a payment terminal means that the merchant does not have to buy another piece of equipment. And that piece of equipment can be very expensive. And for a small merchant, that investment is considerable, which means that Fortis helps them avoid paying for additional equipment. Look, Fortis, first of all, was designed specifically for micro merchants, contrary to other tools which are designed for for enterprise customers or bigger customers. Now, what that means is that a lot of investment goes into understanding what is actually necessary for someone to run their business and what is not necessary to cut out of the product. And that means that we basically maximize the investment in the user experience for people to start as soon as possible. So that's where the simplicity of Fortis comes in and why it matches the needs of a merchant who doesn't have a lot of money to spend, doesn't want to spend on unnecessary features, and wants to see immediate results. Now, once that merchant grows in terms of size, then nothing stops them from adding more Fortis products within their suite.
In fact, this approach itself, with JP, Denny, and Simi talk about, is deeply connected with Arab traditions. Second half of the 19th century and early 20th century, the period of Arabic Enlightenment, or Nata, gave us a lot of literature describing the life of a merchant. Let me recount one novel specifically from that period that illustrates this point. It's Zifaf Farid, Farid's Waiting by Salim Bustani. So its hero, Farid, is a young merchant who owns a store for luxury goods, and it means perfume, silk, cotton clothes, and artificial flowers. He decides that he makes enough and he can afford to marry. And instead of women that matchmakers offers him, he wants to marry a young woman that once visited his store. The matchmaker explained that it will be difficult and quite expensive to get her family permission, but Farid insists. He's a successful merchant after all, he can afford it. As matchmaking continues, Farid has to spend more and more to win the bride's and her family's trust. The matchmaker helps him on this way, and he eventually marries, but on the way he loses his business, all his money, and even gets to the prison. And also, he finds out that the first visit of his now wife to his shop wasn't an accidental, as he thought. It was said by the matchmaker to get more money from him. This view of marriage I find outdated, yes, but I absolutely love the business idea behind this novel. It's in the moral, in the end.
Hello, how are you? Fine, thank you. Guten Tag.
This is a fate of a man that tried to stride further than the length of his carpet. So this is what I try to do. Build my own business step by step, so not to stride further than the length of my carpet. I'm trying to be careful. I keep everything balanced and don't invest all I have in one project. For example, I host this project, but I also have other projects. So listen to me calling to my friend to brag about it.
You know what is interesting? That's what I always say, that when you challenge yourself, you scale yourself as well. You know, of course, when you get to Dubai, it's a very expensive city. You cannot manage to live with your previous savings or your previous spendings and so on, so on, so on. So you start to think not only on the project that you work on, but you also start to think in the long term. And you start to think how to get new people, how to get new students. So yeah, of course, I get new students, and this is very cool feeling, you know, every time you land. It's like the universe just hears you and sees you. Just the minute your plane lands in another country or another place, you just open your social media and people like, hi, can we have classes? Or hi, do you have any time for one project or for another project? You know, I would say it grew up in around two times. At that point where I was like, I need a personal assistant, I need a producer, I need some people in my team to help me to manage everything, because there were moments when I told people like, I'm sorry, I can use waitlist if you want to, and people would be like, yeah, sure. Yeah, I did. I have my personal assistant. She is my niece. Shout out to Evita. She works with me. She graduated from London School of Economics. I want to believe that I influenced her a lot to do that, because while she was, growing up, she always says that I was an example for her as an English speaker, within our family, and I talked to her in English most of the times, and at first she felt very shy to speak to me in English, because at home we were mostly speaking Kurdish and, all those things. So, and I called her, I was like, hey, would you be interested in going full scale with me? And she hands down that I should give kudos to her. Hands down, she was like, yeah, sure, without even extra time to think. I became more public. I had more time to write the text, to, manage my social media as a Telegram channel. Like, I raised 10 times more since then. 10 times. I had like 100 subscribers, and up to date, I have 1,900 subscribers, which is 10 times more, which is a huge achievement because 3 years before that, I only managed to get 100. Like, for 3 years. My focus became not only students as it was before, but now I would say I have more projects to help to get worldwide. Yeah, I've created a new direction in business. This new direction is basically I am a consultant, which is I help businesses to translate all their documents, all their idea, missions, everything into English packaging, to make it sound natural in English language, to adapt their marketing creatives, marketing ideas into the local market where they're trying to push out, and including like LinkedIn or other marketing channels which are necessary, and working with their PR in English language and doing like all the articles and stuff like that. This type of projects, which is very challenging, very serious, but I've never thought I would be able to get there. I cannot share a lot of details because of NDA, because I signed a lot of NDAs.
In other words, Dubai and its spirit inspired me. I strengthened the school, took on several new projects, and I'm also doing this podcast. And I would really appreciate it if you write your review on the podcast platform. I mean, what do you think? What did you like the most? Podcasting got me so excited that on the weekend, I went to the Ripe Market with my friends. Like for my weekend, but in fact, to work on podcast. The Ripe Market is a place where small businesses hang out. Tent, lights, food court to stages, and even a ramp for skaters. Let's walk around a little. Let's go?
Yeah.
And we're right at the heart of the Ripe Market, and it kind of gives some European vibes as well, but you can feel some kind of authenticity here, right? There are a lot of English-speaking people, but it has that authenticity that is very clear to United Arab Emirates. And here we are, Rihanna is singing her Umbrella song on the background. This is all we need to know, right? Hi. Good. Oh, nice. What is it? What is it?
This cream ice.
Oh.
This one Oreo Nutella, but you can make anything you want, you can mix together.
Oh, it's cold and tasty. Do you like it? It looks strange, right? It's like a toy, but it's not a toy. From Russia.
But you face like Arabic.
I know. I'm Kurdish by my origin.
Alfal. What about you? Or Russia?
Russia, yeah.
But your hair is not Russian.
I know.
Oh, so this is also...
That's why you are different.
Yeah.
Same difference, you need to be different.
Yeah, true. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. So tasty.
I asked every merchant there if they want to give an interview for the podcast, and they all said yes.
As long as I don't pay money. Because
No.
somebody, no, I tell you, in real estate, I'm in real estate too.
Okay.
Somebody kept after me for a month. I do videos and I have a channel and blah, 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 and this, and please, we get ready, we come to the office and do this and that. And then when he said, it's gonna cost you 1,000 dirham.
No, this is not that type of thing. We're just curious and
Sure, no problem.
And this is how I met Denny. Hi.
How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Do you want to try some hot sauce?
Is it very hot?
Oh, full of flavour. Let's try.
Which is not hot?
The sweet one.
Yeah, the sweet.
That's the
I'll
lowest.
go with
That's
the
the
sweet
lowest tea. But I think you'd be surprised anyway. So
okay.
try the original. And try the sweet.
You just want to make me cry?
No, it's good for you.
It's just sweet.
Yeah. Is this company local or is it?
Yes, it's me.
Oh,
It's
wow.
me.
We're actually doing a podcast about like small businesses and businesses in Dubai. Is that something you would be interested? Like,
Yes, of course, yeah.
Perfect. Can we contact?
Well, you can contact me on Insta. I can give you my number.
Yeah, sure. Can you give your number?
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, this is how we met, and finally he introduced me to his wife, and she plays a huge role in the business.
Well, it's actually a very interesting story. So the brand started somewhere in 2021. The funny thing is that Danny was trying at that point to get some freelancers, designers, to do his branding for the sauce. But he didn't have great results with them, unfortunately, because it wasn't what he was looking for. He couldn't find the identity that he wanted to. So he had several labels done for him, and then it was just not right. So one morning I just woke up and I said, like, let me just do this for you. Let me help you. I wanted somehow to relate the Caribbean sort of inspiration, because the brand, it's Caribbean inspired and it focuses on flavor a lot. But at the same time, I wanted to add a touch of the modern life that we're living in. So I thought about a very simple branding, but also with a lot of color, with elements that represent flavor. To be honest, I just crafted it in 30 minutes for him. 30 minutes for me to actually come up with something that he actually really liked.
Yeah, I'd spent weeks. I'd gone onto the Fiverr app, and so I'd spent weeks using different people, but because they were based in different countries, it's very difficult to relay what you want, you know, because it's just over kind of text messages, over SMS, rather than actually being able to sit with someone and maybe show them the product and explain, articulate in a much better way what the brand's about. And obviously Maria had kind of lived it as well since day one. So, you know, if anyone was in, you know, the right position to do it, it was obviously Maria, because she'd been with me since the kind of inception, since, you know, I even started on this journey. And the fact that she's present, she's able to obviously see and understand a lot better. So I'd spent weeks with people, and they were just coming up with obviously ideas that were just so far removed from what I wanted. And
Here it's 30 minutes.
and thankfully 30 minutes, just bam, there you go. And it was just like, yeah, this is great, this is perfect.
It's not the only thing Maria does for DK Hot Sause brand. That's what Denny told me when we were discussing the podcast, before the interview and before I met Maria.
But also she's been a great source of advice and inspiration, you know, when I've faced certain obstacles, and even just for giving feedback on certain areas. She's been there to keep me in check and just say, what are you doing? You need to do this, and what about that? And that looks rubbish, and change that. But she's been right every time.
Other brands, they have people in place for everything, but he's done it all on his own, and I'm really proud of what he built. It's very difficult to actually try to have a balance between creating the sauce, do the operations for the sauce, and then looking after social media too. You know, for example, Danny's been at the Ripe Market exhibiting recently in his quest to actually create content for social media. He's done a couple of nice reels, but his first reel that he's done there, he's actually, in his excitement to capture everything there, he captured a lot of the other brands. And he left his brand sort of at the end. I reached him and I said, like, well, yeah, but like what I can see now, I can see the other brands on your page, and I can see very little about you. And the first thing that people see is the first 5 seconds, you know, you see the brand. Next time, you put your brand first, and then you can showcase the others. And that's what he's done.
I asked what was the most difficult part of starting, but all this time while Denny, Marie, and I were talking about the flavors of sauces and marketing, one question intrigued me. How did Denny manage to move from kitchen production to the industrial level? I've been thinking about it since we met at the Ripe Market.
Is it difficult to start a business in Dubai?
It's very difficult. The most important thing, or the hardest thing, is the legalities, the trade license, everything else. It's so expensive that for a lot of people that have ideas like this or arts and crafts, it's impossible. Okay. So I was very lucky. A friend of mine, she makes sauce, and she was part of an incubator scheme. So there's a guy, he has his own trade license. He sells a variety of food products, but he helps people like me and Melody. We pay a small fee each month, but then we have the trade license, we have all the legal aspects.
Okay.
And that's like a third of the cost of having a trade license.
Yes.
And then if you get to the point where you can find an investor or partner, or you have the money, then you can fly on your own, you know. But without him, I would never have been able to do it.
That's amazing.
Never.
And when I had an interview with Denny, I finally found out more about this gentleman who helps small businesses. And this story begins with a huge disappointment, continues with golf, and finally comes to a happy ending.
Back end of last year, I was negotiating a deal with the hotel here to place the sauce in their venue as a condiment, and also to have the sauce on their menu. Because hotels have stricter rules when it comes to foodstuffs, I had to provide certain certifications. Now, while I was trading legally, to have this certification, it was just impossible for me to obtain. So all of a sudden, you know, I was faced with the thought that if I can't find support, whether that be an investor or a partner, do I stop the brand? Do I stop completely, or do I just continue, you know, selling the odd bottle here or there?
How did it make you feel?
Yeah, I was gutted. I was annoyed, I was frustrated. So then, yeah, you're just faced with this thought that maybe that's the end of it, you know?
I cannot even imagine how hard it is when you work so hard on something and then just stuck.
And especially when the deal is there on the table and all I need is a piece of paper. You know, they want the product. It's, you know, and that deal could then help open other doors and you know, expand even further. But when it's just a piece of paper, that becomes very frustrating.
How did you manage it?
I would say an element of luck, and maybe the universe was just smiling on me and just gave me a helping hand. A friend of mine introduced me to his business partner stroke boss, and we went to play golf. I've only ever played golf once, and that was 30 years ago. So my only thought was, I'm just going to be absolutely rubbish. I'm not even going to be able to hit a ball. And a potential business deal is riding on me playing golf. And, you know, my deaf dog could probably play golf better than me, you know.
Was there any preparation?
No, there was no golf preparation.
No YouTube watching?
No, there was no point, no.
Okay.
No, he's not that particular.
So we went to play golf, and then we went for food afterwards. And obviously then we sat down and spoke about the brand, and he knew about it, but I just spoke about the brand and kind of what I needed. From there, he then offered me, initially in my mind, I wanted investment. He offered me a different opportunity, let's say, which was very much service-based. So I thought about it, and then we just spent a few weeks kind of negotiating what this deal would look like. Ultimately then speaking with Maria, speaking with some very close family, and then a friend of mine introduced me to a lawyer, because I'd never been involved in this kind of situation. So really now had to think about how do I cover myself for the future and ensure that everything is fair and we get the best deal for the brand and myself and also for the partners as well. So we just went back and forth, and through speaking with people, I realised that actually what they had offered is far better than someone giving me money. Because if someone had given me the actual cash, I still have to do everything myself. But what I was being offered was logistics, support, procurement, manufacturing, and a whole host of services that would ultimately save me time and also money, but would enable me to basically scale the brand a lot quicker than if someone had just invested cash. So we have all the legalities that are needed, plus we have his expertise and knowledge. And so rather than trying to drum up the investment and spending a huge amount on a trade license from the off, he enabled, as I said, myself and other businesses to begin that journey from a legal perspective, but at a very minimal cost.
All of this was possible because Denny had a good friend.
She has her own sauce brand. Mm-hmm. And she was a source of inspiration at the beginning in terms of, starting my own brand. I met her there's a food community, a very big food community here in Dubai, and it's part of a social media group on Facebook. So I met her through this food group, and she had contacted me asking if I would like to try her sauce. So we kind of built up this friendship from there. And then, like I said, she was kind of a source of inspiration because initially I made the sauce for myself, and then things were starting to develop. So she was very open in terms of just advice, and it was her that introduced me to Kyle. And she didn't have to, but she's just a really nice human being, And in terms of competition, no, I don't see her as competition. Yes, we both make sauces, but we're completely different sauces. And when I started on this journey, I always had in my mind that I would never create anything that would be in direct conflict with her. There's no point for me. There's no point, and also I wanted to do something different. And also, there's an element of respect there because she helped me by introducing me to Kyle and what have you. So I don't like to tread on other people's toes if I don't have to, So that element of respect was there. So. Yeah, I don't see her as competition. I see her as motivation. I see her as inspiration. Yeah, just a fellow peer, really. So until we signed this partnership, so technically I've not had to hire anyone, but now we have people that are responsible for certain areas. Well, all areas actually. So I have there's someone that deals with the procurement of the ingredients, someone else that deals with the accounts with vendors. I have a young man that solely helps me with the production of the sauce, and then there's a few guys that help with the packaging. We have a delivery team, we have a marketing team, and then they've just hired a gentleman for business development. So I'll get to sit down with him in the next couple of weeks and explain more about the brand.
Oh my God.
We're producing kind of a B2B packaging that he will be able to then take out to businesses to then showcase the brands and what have you. So, in my mind, I initially wanted investment, but I have something that's worth more than that, I have a fully functioning company and people that can do everything for me.
Maria, are you happy that now it's not in the kitchen anymore and you don't have to sense?
I am so happy. You cannot imagine. I am very happy that he's in a separate kitchen right now and producing a lot of more sauce. So he's more productive, but also not affecting myself.
By the end of an interview, we had 3 hours of conversation recorded with Denny and Maria. I understand Denny. I'm not particularly competitive with my colleagues either, but I'm competitive with myself. I want to do each episode better than the previous one, to give my best, and I try to find out the most interesting story, emotional moments, and important details, and by the evening, I just sounded like this.
What did she tell you? Maybe one of your first advices.
But with that, I was also terribly proud of myself, although terribly exhausted. Gosh, I'm so tired that I don't even know how to finish the sentence, and I think I just need to go to sleep. You were listening to Crossing the Desert, podcast by Fortis. Fortis helps seamlessly connect businesses and their customers and run the business. It assists in attracting and retaining customers, selling products and services, accepting payments both online and in-store, and managing finances and personnel. Join Fortis social media. Links are in the episode description. Follow our podcast or add it to your favorites. Give us 5 stars or a heart and leave us a comment. This will help other listeners to find out about us, and see you in the next episode. Production by Hatch Up Podcast Studio. Showrunners Alexandra Volkova and Yelena Volkova. Producer Albert Alkhavikov. Scriptwriter and editor Alexandra Volkova. Sound designer Mikhail Vasilyev. history consultant Alexander Kondrashov, and I'm your host, Isaac Delonin.